King Alcohol has many forms by which he catches man. He is a beast of many horns, and ever thus has been.
For there's rum,
and gin,
and beer,
and wine, and brandy of logwood hue,
and hawk,
and port,
and flip, combined
to make a man look blue.
He says be merry,
For his good sherry,
and Tom and Jerry, champagne and perry,
and spirits of every hue. Oh, are not these a fiendish crew, as ever a mortal knew?
Hey, howdy ho. No. We tried it. Nobody can do it like Cowboy does.
No, not quite.
But
not
damn
quite.
it, the Cowboy is not here today.
No, but
You are stuck with me and Dougie.
Yep. But
and a guest.
I guess that we love and adore, and one of our best friends from the industry, and we finally get in.
Who probably hates us for this is the first show finally.
Finally, we've been working on it for a while.
I know, the first show. Poor, we suck. we're bad friends.
Hey, you made it in. That's what counts.
We've been here before. We just didn't bring the equipment with us.
Exactly. Yeah, we came here for, of course, we're talking about Kopacetic, Monticello, Indiana.
The Kopacetic Beer Factory.
Our good friend Sean Manahan, who we love and adore, and thankfully he's been saying, get your asses here for a while. I know it's with you and Indy, and now me up here. It's a little odd getting around to places now, but we just love coming to all the outskirts. We always go in the Indy, and there's so much going on, so it's cool to get in the outskirts and see what else is going on out there. And we knew you, of course, met you in Indianapolis, and now you're here in Monticello, and your parents own the Scoreboard, correct?
That's correct.
And so you said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's expand
let's
on
serve
that
beer.
idea.
So I started brewing at People's Brewing Company in 2010.
Yep.
Right.
And it took all of 2 weeks, and then I told my dad we should consider opening up a brewery. I think I could do this.
Really?
And he's like, you've only got into it. Let's kind of slow. And in 2012, they started the Scoreboard, and I kept telling him, all right, this is the introduction. If we can do a brew pub, if you can handle the food, I'll be able to handle the beer. And so in 2016, my son was born, and my wife and I both said, let's go back to Monticello. Both of our families are still here. Let's go to Monticello, and I've been doing this for 10 years. It's not like I could really transition anything else, so I
have no other skills.
I really thought about maybe I could sell cars. I don't know. No, let's go with this. So the Scoreboard used to be in a small strip mall location. Definitely couldn't do the brewing there, and I grew up maybe 2 miles away from where the brewery is.
Oh, really?
So I drove past this building
all the time,
a million times. It's a perfect spot for a brewery, and I'm glad we were able to lock it in, move the Scoreboard over here, really made that much bigger, and got a nice little spot to do our little nano system. It worked out real nice.
It's perfect. And the town has accepted this, and really a lot of support from.
Yeah, I was nervous. This is very much a Bud Miller Coors town.
Oh yeah.
And it's there's a lot of, I don't want to say ruts. There's a lot of regular things. I know on Thursdays everyone goes to see this one band that plays at this one restaurant. That's just what happens on Thursday.
Right.
So I was curious as how they would accept craft beer.
Right.
I make a lot of light beers, and it's been fun to watch people transition. But yeah, from really the get-go, it's been accepted. I think a lot of my peers are moving back to Monticello. In my case, I was in Lafayette, then I was in Indy, and so I had the experience of a big town. And a big town has the brewery, right? So now in Monticello, all these people are coming back to raise their families, and we're starting to open up things that we experienced out in other places.
Sure.
Yeah, brewery works.
Bring a little out to bring a little that was out there back into town. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that brings other people in. It brings other people into Monticello because it's kind of a big touristy spot in the summer, right? There's a lot going on. I mean,
we got the two lakes. We got Lake Schaefer, Lake Freeman.
Right.
And so in the summer, our population goes from about 4,500, 5,000 people to about 10,000 people, and then people in and out just doing touristy stuff with Indiana Beach. And there was really nothing like this really close. I opened, and then not far from here is Brookston.
Yep.
And so Crasian opened up there right about the same time. So it's
you've
helped.
seen it. Most of it's working for a lot of the small towns, especially in Indiana, because craft beer is becoming you can still have your Bud Miller drinkers, but they're actually willing to try shit. And you see, I mean, damn near every little town has at least one craft brewer, one home brewer that decided to open just a small little spot.
Yeah.
You know, they're popping up, and it's as long as, again, if you keep it something you can afford too, you know, and then it's easy to kind of do some of that. You know, you little town, little brewery, and then
I think it's
they
got
might
kind
get
of a
bigger
perk
later
too in Monticello, because there is that touristy hat, you know, in the
Sure.
summertime where once they know you're here and they come in here in the summertime, and holy shit, it's just a great little place in Monticello, because a lot of people from around Indiana,
Right.
you know, Indiana come to Monticello in the summertime, and all to the Lake Shapers. So they're like, oh shit, there's an awesome brewery
But,
in
but then
Monticello.
also, but then the regulars also
So then they're
see
coming
it-
here even during the, you know.
Right, and then the regulars see, hey, this place is actually pretty busy, so they come and try it out.
Yeah.
You know, as the tourists come in and try it, or the tourists are here and they might know someone in town and say, hey, let's go over here because I want craft beer. I don't want to go just have a regular macro beer or anything. So yeah,
And I think
word of mouth.
A big part, organic growth has been great, but even in this small town, I'm surprised to hear people, oh, there's a brewery in town. You know, it's been 2.5 years still.
Really?
And again, it's a different market coming from bigger cities. So now I'm doing a lot of newspaper ads, which is something that no way am I going to do newspaper ads, but it really helps get the word out there. We do a lot of fundraising things on the restaurant side primarily.
Sure.
Community involvement's been really important to us.
Sponsoring teams or little, I don't know.
Yeah, we do like the tip nights for the high school football team. So they come in and wait tables, and then we're buying jerseys and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So being involved in the community has definitely helped. When I was first starting and doing the build out, I would go to some of these other bars that had some decent beer, and I'd find myself in conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh, you're opening up the brewery," and they're like, "Are you sure? Is that really going to work?" I was like, I don't think I sold them initially on the beer component. I think I sold them more on the what local beer can do for a local community. And being that.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay. Being that, I only serve Indiana products.
Right.
All of that money that I'm paying to these distributors and breweries, and that it all stays
Staying in
here.
Indiana, yeah.
Right.
And I think that really resonated with people. So they were like, all right, I'll come in and I'll try your light beer. And now they've gone from my Freeman Cream to like my Dr. Hoppenstein, which is pretty aggressive American IPA.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going to
it
ask you, especially being from here and knowing everybody and having some regulars around it. It's got to be fun to witness the conversion when it happens, and getting people that try other stuff. And
when we first opened, I think I didn't consider staff when we first opened. Like I need to hire people.
You're like, I can do it all.
So I was bartending every night, and so a lot of the regulars that are still, a lot of them are here, I've seen go from the light beer, and then everybody got to come in and check it out. But I have 20 taps, and I have it separated into 4 kind of generic categories: light, dark, malty, hoppy. Make it easy for people to find beers that they could be familiar with. But then it also like, all right, let me try the stout. Oh, let me try the barley wine. Let me try this IPA. And I've seen it, and now we sell a lot more hoppy beer than I would imagine.
Yeah. It picks up. People get a different taste for it. Yeah.
And it's acquired taste, and then it's hard to go backward.
Yeah, it's a little hard to go back to plain. Trust me, I know.
Was that kind of your first? I mean, of course, your nickname, Dr. Hoppenstein. So, I mean, were you a big hop fan? Is that really? I mean, was that what got you into craft beer, or was there something else? Is that what you really loved? Because you make some wild beers, I think.
Yeah, you do.
Talk about. I think you make some great conversion beers. You have a great hand for making a lighter, I think, beer to get people to cross over. But then I think you make some wild stuff that is done very well that other people can't do. Some people try stuff. I was like, you know what? Just take the traditional stuff and just make some beer.
Work on your regular beers first, please.
I think you have a gift to be able to make some pretty crazy stuff, some hard-handed stuff that comes out very well.
Thank you.
And I love your malty stuff. I just, I'm a big fan of you. But you do obviously you're a hop fan.
I'm
was
a
that
pretty
your
big hop
first
head.
love? Was that really what got you into craft beer? Or?
Really was. It was more. I don't want to say hops got me into it. When I first turned 21 and I was able to go to a liquor store, I went to Village Bottle Shop in Lafayette, and they had this huge selection of singles that you could buy. And so I grabbed a bunch of them, and it just blew my mind that they were all called beer, but they were all different colors, all different strengths and flavors. And it was the curiosity of why is this all called beer, but it's all so different.
Yeah.
that really got me in. It took a while for me to get into the hops. One of my favorite beers for the longest time was Founder's Porter. So I liked, that coffee, that bitter baker's chocolate.
That's what I like.
notes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I prefer to brew dark beers because in the brew house it just smells amazing. You get to use a whole lot of different malts. Those are my favorite to brew. But yeah, when I'm drinking beers, I prefer something hoppy.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's hard. I really like our cream ale. We sell a lot of cream ale, and so I find myself, it's my shift beer throughout the day. But if I'm just sitting at home hanging out with friends, it's an IPA 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I grew up in Michigan, and I grew up on before the craft beer fate. I was a Guinness Head, and then the Bell's Porter, and of course Founders, and that was my love. So it was hard for me when I first started drinking IPAs. I was like, oh, this is I couldn't grasp it.
I can't do it.
And
either.
a lot of it back, especially back then, the hops, I don't think they're done very well. And so I just said I don't like. We talked about this a lot, but I was like, I don't like hoppy beer, But now there's like
hops were hops. You just kind of used what was there. They weren't
when it's done well. It's
crafted well.
Done right.
Yeah.
There's some incredible IPAs and WIPA. I just really enjoy, but. I thought it was really going to be difficult to go. I was like, I like dark beer, and that's all I'm going to like. But we started doing this show, and I definitely expanded my taste buds, and now I love a lot of IPAs. And
I think definitely myself, and I think most people fall into this. They may not realize it, but they're also seasonal drinkers.
Sure.
Right? If it's 100 degrees outside, a big 8% dank IPA is not what I'm really into.
Right.
Nope.
Right. Not sitting out in the sun
and having
a heavy oatmeal stout's not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch the trends on what we're selling to see how much dark beer and malty beers we go through in the summer. But even here now, I've got a lot of guys that they started in as, what do you have that's like Miller Lite? And now they're like, oh, I'm in the mood for a session IPA.
Yeah.
They start to name drop things. It's fun.
I think that would be fun for you to know, just growing up here and seeing those conversions of being in Monticello and obviously more Bud and Miller fans, and now just that conversion. And people coming here now and probably grew up on Bud, now they're sitting and wanting a stout every time they come in. And man, it's awesome.
Sean's sitting there going, Bud Miller, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, come on,
I took another one of your people.
My system is very small. I operate on a 2-barrel Blickman system. So my biggest batches are 4 kegs.
Yeah.
So I don't do hardly any distribution to speak of, but there is one bar north of town called Riverside that tends to buy my beers now. And I took a Budweiser line and I took a Blue Moon line. So I have two. They have 3 taps and I have 2 of them now.
Did they clean them first?
I cleaned them. And they somebody I'm hoping that it wasn't nefarious activity, but somebody heard I took the Budweiser line, and they interpreted that as I traded my keg of craft for a keg of Budweiser. And somebody called excise. And now, to call excise means you have to know what you're doing.
Right.
A general Joe Schmo wouldn't call the least known law enforcement agency.
Yeah.
And so they had to come and they audited my books just to make sure that I didn't.
No shit.
Wow.
I was like, God, I've never had a keg of Budweiser. I've not had an ounce of Budweiser in this building, but I had to.
What you have to call it is my company calls it a competitive capture.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
I got under somebody's skin. That's fine. And that's moving back here and seeing. It's really neat. It's kind of big head thing, but seeing the impact that this has, the pressure that's put on other outfits. When I was selling beer for Peoples, and I came up here and I was like, listen, I'm brewing in Lafayette. Craft beer it's an awesome thing. You should put me on. I'm from Monticello. You should put on a Peoples keg. And for years and years, they said no.
Yeah.
Well, now they're starting to pick up. I know this one bar here close started picking up Bell's Two Hearted. They never carried anything with remote flavor.
Wow, that's.
But now people they got the hop bite around here. Between us and Crasian being really close. Also since I opened up, there's been 2 or 3 new breweries open up in Lafayette. Backstep's not far.
Right.
So I think it's more commonplace now to have craft.
Yeah, it's pretty. Going around Indiana and Michigan, and there's some backwoods places. That's funny. even 10 years ago, you would never say anything on, anything but Bud and Miller and
Well, no, 'cause-
PBR. And now it's fun. You go to these places out in the middle of nowhere, and you go in there, and there's at least one crap. There's something on, almost.
Yeah.
It's hard not to find anymore, even in the outskirts. This isn't. To me, this isn't outskirts. There's some places. I'm talking about backwoods.
Yeah.
Up at
They got the Coors Light, the Miller Light, and the Zombie Dust.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. But there's
All right.
It's pretty wild. It's good. It's just we always talk about the bubble, and I don't think there's a bubble. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's getting more.
I think actually
getting more common now, where everyone's. There's people out there that want that. They want flavor, not just beer.
I think the bubble. I think there is a bubble, but it's not the same kind of bubble. The bubble is going to be for the some of the sites that have gone large into it. They've gone too big too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the bubble is fine when you keep it where you're keeping it, but that bubble well, if you think of it, it's not even a bubble. It's like the measles. One little one, and it affects the town next to it because they're like, oh, I want one. And then the next town, and you're basically, it's an infection.
Right. Yeah. Well, but it's something that's not going to
But
away.
it's a good
Craft beer is
infection.
just getting bigger and bigger. There's more people. It's just going to keep growing. And
It's like
more
the
people are
herpes.
gonna-
It doesn't go away, and it just keeps going.
It's true. It'll always be there. Flare up here and there, and then go back away.
You talk about people our age who, what's your first beer? Even, there's craft beer around, but everyone's, Natty Light and all this. Now you talk to kids in college, and their first beers, now being in this area, Bell's Too Hard, and,
Something,
it's like,
yeah.
holy shit, it's changing.
For sure.
Craft beer is becoming
I cannot
a staple
imagine
and-
trying to sell craft beer 10 years ago and, market it because if you think of it, remember the original image of craft beer was again, sadly, it still happens, but the long-bearded hipster douchebags. And most of them, aren't really douchebags, but there's a lot of guys with long beards and tattoos and stuff. But the original image of craft beer was pinky up, fancy craft. It was fancy beer, and so it was hipster douchebags who yuppies, and you're like, that's why trying to sell it to a place like in Monticello 10 years ago, be like, why would I want? Those guys aren't coming into this bar.
And even when you start talking about like the cost of the product, my beers, every beer that I have on tap, some of them are different sizes, but they're all $5.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, even $5. And some people are like, wow, I can't believe it, $5 for a beer. I'm like, go to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
$8. You're not at even a venue anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. I think
But also check your gravity on this too.
Yeah.
And that's I say that a lot of times too. I've got this massive spreadsheet with every beer that we've ever served. As of tonight, for a lot of the guest taps and stuff that we have on, we've served 1,052 beers in 2.5 years.
Yes.
All Indiana products.
Nice.
So I also, in that spreadsheet, I have average ABV the ABV and IBUs of everything. And the average for all the beers that I've had is like 6.2. So you might pay double the amount for the beer, but it's also twice as strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this is 2 beers here, people.
They don't
And
always
this beer
understand that.
might actually be 4.
Yeah.
This is 4 Bud Lights in your hand right now.
Sometimes it's the next day before they understand
True.
what that means
Yeah.
when they're not used to it.
People have definitely, it's really started to accept the beers, but there's a lot of people, anything that's 8.5 or 8% or higher, I serve typically in a snifter.
Of course.
And limit them.
Of course.
Because most people, they're not familiar with what an 8% beer is.
Right.
And they'll tell me, like, I had a beer on from Tin Man, and I want to say it was like 14%. And I limited everybody to 1.
Right.
And he's like, oh, dude, I drink a 6-pack of
drink
Coors
beer
Light
all
every
day
night.
long.
And I was
Yeah.
like, there's a 6-pack in the snifter, bud. Like, just go slow. But I think out of everything,
we've seen that.
getting people to warm up to the snifter has been the trickiest thing.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
Yeah.
We saw when the KBS was on tap, and serving 16-ounce mugs of KBS to people who've never had KBS.
When I first moved back, there
And
was
you're
another
like,
bar that
and
had.
they're like, "What's going on?"
No limit.
No limit.
Too.
I was at this bar and they had Space Cowboy from Peoples,
Sure.
and it's an Imperial IPA, really awesome IPA. I remember when we first started brewing that. and these people were selling it in like liter mugs, like 32-ounce mugs. I was like, what are you doing?
What the hell are you doing?
It's like $6 for a liter
Yeah,
of a
yeah. Number on your
9%
cost, but your price point there is you're screwing yourself. here.
Yeah, well, come on.
and you're killing people.
And these people are only going to have the one.
Or if
they get through it.
If even the one, right? Exactly. If you 64-ounce big gulp of no, not going to happen. Come on.
It's been a lot of fun. In a big part of what I'm trying to do here, and I knew going into it, is that to serve the types of products that I have, there has to be a level of education. So for when people come in, the bar opens up at 4. I'm typically here until 5:30 or 6, and so I like to take that time, now that I'm not bartending all the time, to educate my bar staff so they can
That's
do
where I
it
was
further,
gonna go.
but
Your
also
Your
educate
staff
the
is important.
people.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
important that the
incredibly important.
staff knows how to talk to people to convert them.
Yeah.
They've got to be sales. It's kind of like retail in that you got to upsell them a little bit. They're going, what do you got? Looks like a Bud Light, or do you have a Bud Light? No. Well, here, try this. Just got to try to upsell them.
Yeah.
If your staff is not willing to do that, then you're not gonna. You got to get new staff.
They're all real into it. It's been fun watching the staff too kind of evolve and what they
I bet, yeah.
like to drink now. And it's funny, we can sell carry out, so at the end of a shift they'll buy a bunch of beers to take home and try new stuff. They'll clean it up, they'll sample some new stuff as their shift beers, and it does help with their vocabulary when I talk to them about how to tell people and describe the beers. And then because we rotate beers so often, I don't think they could adequately describe, say, a different Hefeweizen. But
Right.
I have a Hefeweizen. They know what a Hefeweizen is, so they
Right.
can at least say, this is what you should expect from a
Right.
Hefeweizen.
The base of a base Hefeweizen. Yeah.
No, the staff is definitely important.
That's got to actually help things, though. The quick rotation you do in that people keep coming back and going, oh, shit, what's here now? Or, in some ways they'll be like, well, damn, I really like the beer and it's gone now. And now they come back and it's like, they kind of have to keep coming back because if you don't come in once a week, you might miss. It's FOMO, the fear of missing out kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good rotation because you leave them on for too long. And people kind of get used to it. They stop coming because they're like, it's the same beer from last week.
That
Same
has
beer
been
from last week.
I change the taps about 50% every week.
Yeah.
We'll burn through a keg and I'll put something new on. So about 8 or 9 different beers will cycle in and out.
Yeah.
When I started I used to have a 1-barrel system. Well, when we first opened, I was doing 10 gallons at a time.
I remember.
And then I got the 1-barrel going. Now we got the 2-barrel, and so there are a lot of people that are like, like Hoppenstein. This whole 2-barrel batch will be gone in like 10 days.
Yeah.
But that 11th day, someone's like, this isn't rotating. I'm not interested. It is. It has kind of come back and bit me
A little bit.
in that they are so used to the rotation that the half-life of a beer is about that first week. So when it's on for that first week, people will drink it because it's new. But then the next week I got something else that's on, and so they drink what's new there. And then
Right.
Yeah.
Now they're
revisit.
like, now they're here, and you accidentally give a beer on for 2 weeks, and they're like, well, where's the new beer? Yeah. They're so used to the new beer. They're just, what the hell? Why haven't you rotated the beers yet, Sean? Damn it!
And, we talk about. I'll talk about shelf life with all these people, and I say, for the most part, it's been great having a distribution background to be able to have these kind of conversations in a real life manner.
Yep.
I'm like, ideally we are pushing this beer through in. I got a shelf life of about 90 days, 90 to 120, depending on the beer. But if it's on for 15 days, they're like, wow, I'm not going to drink that. It's old.
Or what's wrong with it? Why are you not out of? Why is it not done already? What's wrong with that beer?
The longer that it's on, definitely the slower it moves as we.
We're talking about shelf life. We got some table life.
Oh, yeah,
going
it's
on.
talking about beer.
We're talking about
Okay.
beer. We got this delicious beer on the table, and I'm thirsty.
My big glass is empty, and so I've been sipping the little beers just because I was thirsty and needed to keep the engine charged.
So I got the 3 beers in the glass, and we'll get to the bottle. But the first light one is Wrangler Weiss. It's our kind of American hef. Oh, hold on.
Wrangler
Mom
Weiss.
hug.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Mama Manahan.
Mama Manahan. Susan. So Wrangler Weiss is actually a beer I've got, I know it's not like a visual thing, but for you guys, I got a poster on the wall over there. It says Kopacetic Beer Factory. We had a big beer fest, and that was in 2011. Just brewing in my garage, so we've been working at that for a long time. But the Wrangler Weiss was maybe the third or fourth beer that I brewed. My dog's name is Wrangler, and he's a miniature Schnauzer. He's a little German beer, a little German dog. But I've been making this beer since 2010 in some similar fashion. So there's Amarillo hops in there, which isn't necessarily traditional, and I use the Weihenstephaner yeast in there. So you get some of the bananas, some of the clove, and there's more of an American hop character.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is, I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm growing old in the business, but I've had my permit now for a little over 2 years in brewing. We've done like 450 different beers, and I'm kind of running out of ideas. So
I know, yeah. What the hell do you do? Eventually, you're going to have to circle back and repeat.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but
I'm
it's
starting
been
to
a
get house
while.
beers.
Yeah.
And Freeman Cream is one of our house beers, as is the Wrangler Weiss. And essentially, these two is the same thing. A 2-barrel batch will be gone in 2 weeks, and that gives me time to brew the Wrangler, run it through the taps, and then brew the Freeman. And so I'm hoping that even though we rotate all the time, that I have at least one of these light beers on all the time. It's something that is familiar to me.
You're familiar, and you need the conversion beer.
Yeah.
It's the conversion.
What I enjoy about this one as a lighter style beer to especially get people across over. It's a light beer. It's an easy drinker, but there's that. You get that complexity. There's that flavor there. You get a little hint of banana and clove.
A little bit.
Yeah. There's a
the clove.
It's a great beer to win someone over to go. Hey, you need to try this. And,
a lot of
because there's good flavor there, but it's super light.
But because a lot of hefties are hefty.
Yeah.
There's a heavy banana there. They're a little overpowering to the first. But Heffy is where I would prefer on my light beers. I like my Heffies. Not a big IPA fan.
Sure.
But Heffies, no problem, because the banana, the clove, everything just kind of works. But they can be heavy-handed. A lot of them are pretty heavy-handed, and you've got a nice light transition Heffy, rather than a lager or an ale or something, just a little blonde ale or something that a lot of places transition with a blonde ale or something like that.
I told you guys I love my cream ale. The Freeman Cream, we sell that probably more than any other beer because it's that initial introduction beer. It's somebody wants a Budweiser, we give them the cream ale. It's got the esters that you don't get out of a lager beer, but it's still really simple. And then having the hef, it's just that next step in
slight
flavor, give them a little bit
slight
something different.
notch up, and work them through. Give them the cream ale maybe, then this, and then work them up to the next something else.
Yeah,
delicious.
Awesome. No, it's spectacular.
Thank you.
And even like it's been sitting here a little bit, so it's even got a little warmth to it. So some of that banana's coming up. It's not ice cold, which is fine.
I think it's fine right now. I like it.
That's been another issue that I've kind of had to work with people is I set my cooler to be 38 degrees.
Oh yes,
because that's where I can carbonate the beers at that temperature when I'm in the cooler.
Sure.
And that's otherwise I'd be warmer. But there's a lot of people that are like, my mountains aren't blue. And I was like, no, come on. It's not warm beer, but it's not ice cold.
Right.
And now people are like, oh, okay, yeah, it really opens up the flavors, and you get some more flavor.
Yeah, and there's some beers that are great ice cold. For me, I prefer a very cold IPA. But that's because I'm trying to actually take some of those extra flavors down. Not frosty mug cold. No,
sure.
But a lager, I like a nice, a good lager.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Super cold. Stout, no, I don't want that. I don't need it in a frosty. No stouts in a frosty mug.
Yeah,
I need a little bit of
get
heat.
Questions for the damn frosted. You got frosted glasses? Get the hell out of here.
Get the fuck out. Yeah, why are you here? Go ahead.
I put the glass in the microwave for you.
Yeah. You got any frost? Do you have frosted glasses at home? Yeah. What do you put in it? Bud Light. Well, then go home and get a Bud Light.
What are you talking about? But yeah,
it's like how long you think you're going to drink that beer? A couple days? Why do you need a frosty mug for that beer for? Drink it.
And with the hef, and again, it's all these kind of hurdles that now that I'm kind of thinking about it out loud and talking about it out loud.
Sure.
Just Hefeweizen in the description on my menu. That's another thing that it took a while for people to be like, I'll try it, because that word is literally a foreign word, and they're
scary.
like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'll have the Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get you into it.
Can I have the Weihenstephaner? The what?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, it's got Amarillo hops and Weihenstephaner yeast. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll have the closest thing to Bud Light.
Yeah. Oh, this is
this
it.
one.
It's just got lots of complex things in it. Well, it can be because there's great German beers, and there's to be honest, the names look funny to small town, and they're just kind of like, I can just order a Bud. Yeah,
It's
I don't have
easy
to. I
enough.
don't have to know how to pronounce my beer to order it at the bar.
And when we first open it, and still, it's less and less as people have been in and returning. But when we get new people in, a lot of people just say, "I'll have a beer."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I've got 40 beers.
Yeah.
You pick one, I'll pick one.
We'll see how it goes.
I used to be, it depends on the day. I used to be very sympathetic and say like, okay, you sound like a cream ale guy. But if they're like, yeah, I'll just have a beer, I'm like, all right, Imperial Stout, fuck you, man. We're gonna
If
go
you
that
catch him at the end of a long brew
way.
day.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, I don't really have time for this. Yeah. Here's a margarita.
Exactly, yeah.
Give me a beer.
Maybe you're
Here's
a
a
vodka tonic
margarita.
guy.
Yeah.
Something
All right.
of West.
I'm still thirsty. You want to take another one? You want to take a break?
Let's check
One more
another
and
one
then take a break?
and then take a break. 'Cause,
All right.
I
We got to
want-
talk about. Well, we got to talk about the other two beers, and we got to talk about why we're here. And
Yeah, and there's some
some
other stuff I
things.
want to get into in Kopacetic. So
Sure.
let's try another
All
one.
right,
and
What
then-
is this?
The second beer is, I
I
normally
go
have
to
a
this
good
one, or do we
spread.
want to go to the?
I would recommend dark.
Okay.
Because
Do
the Hoppenstein's the other one.
Oh yeah, that's gonna burn. Yeah, that's gonna.
This is Dark Passenger. This is an oatmeal stout. Like I said, I love brewing dark beers, and the water that we have here, I don't really even have to adjust the water where I do with most of our lighter beers. It just works so well with dark beers. I want to say there's like 7 or 8 different grains in there, so I love layering them. And unfortunately, kind of both ways, the beers are so green and young when I put them on that you can actually have like stratified tastes.
Really?
Where you can be like, oh man, I get a little bit of caramel and I get a little of this, but normally, so at Flat 12 and Peoples, we weren't even really releasing beers until they were about 4 to 6 weeks old. That's really
Time to
optimum
settle.
time.
Time to yeah.
And so they can marinate and the flavors all kind of homogenized.
Standardized. Yeah.
But here we get, depending on when this has been on for again a week now, no one's ever going to drink it again. But you could get some of the raisiny characters from some of the dark caramels.
Yeah. And then at the end of the week, all of a sudden, yeah, it's a little more biscuity, a little more chocolatey or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is weird.
You get somebody come in like, hey, can I get, how long's the oatmeal stout been out? 4 days? I missed it by a day. I wanted
yeah,
that
I wanted
3-day
the 3-day
oatmeal
oatmeal.
stout.
Yeah. And I always tell people, it's very ephemeral. It's like going to a stage performance. You could watch the Phantom of the Opera 30 times, but every performance is
It could be a
different.
little different.
And so even when you're drinking beers, the day 3, you might have liked it better on day 3 than day 4.
yeah, it's gonna, yeah.
But
yeah.
He's like the moonshine. You're like just like the moonshine of brewing because it's just coming right off of the still. You know, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, basically.
there's no aging. This is not whiskey. Well, it's whiskey, but it's unaged whiskey.
Yeah.
So yeah, that moonshine. Yes.
I've got it down to a pretty quick science, so I know about how long I have to carbonate based on how full the kegs are and whatnot. And this stout was probably on tap 9 days after I brewed it.
That'd be a good gimmick to get. Hey, you come in and you can guess what day, how many
Yeah.
days it's been.
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
days
I'll
I-
catch your pint.
Right, tap, yeah, say, what day is this on? Give you a free pint.
You'd never be able to be like a sommelier though for Kopacetic beers because even a year from now, the 3-day-old oatmeal stout a year from now would be different than the 3-day-old oatmeal stout from this year.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're never going to be able to go. All right, he used Amarillo hop that was pulled off the vine on a Tuesday from southern Indiana. You know,
That would be very difficult here.
constant, but I think that lends some character to it. Constant change. Everybody likes their. You still need your house beers, but even you said your house beers are there, but they're still consistent enough. You know, those ones are that they're not gonna. It's not gonna be like way off on flavor profile.
Right.
This batch versus the last batch.
And consistency is something that was really important. Well, I mean, it is important to me. But at bigger production facilities, if you've got a can of, say, Upside Down Blonde, you want that can batch after batch if they're buying it to be the same. And that's really important for all breweries.
Yeah.
But where I have a little bit of licenses, if I do Freeman Cream and then I do Ringlevice, you never get batch to batch right behind each other. So
Right.
I have a little bit of
Right.
room on that. And that's been very comfortable for me.
Well, yeah, no, that works. That's got to. It's got to be tiring, and we'll probably get into that after after our break because I have a couple questions because I'm not really sure how you're still alive.
Me either.
And married and raising a kid and holy crap, man. If nobody's
Obviously,
been
has
here,
an
if nobody
amazing
knows, if nobody knows Manham when you get here, just ask him to tell you about just a day of what he does.
Day in the life. Here
I
at the
mean,
factory.
you're just like, holy crap, man. So we'll dig in a little bit deeper and
I just want to go out before in the break how this is the beer I started with tonight. It's not oatmeal. You talked earlier about heaviness, and there's something to me I can drink an oatmeal stout at any time of the year because there's something to it that's there's a hardness to it, but there's still a crispness to me to oatmeal stout that I can drink any time of the year. Maybe not out in the sun, but there's something about an oatmeal stout that I can drink all year long, and there's something that I just there's so much complexity to it and flavors, but still I think a lighter side of a stout to me, even though it's a hearty, but there's I just love the oatmeal stouts, and this is awesome.
it's not so thick or chewy. It's not a barrel aged or something. It's just it's a clean oatmeal stout.
No chewiness about it, but the oatmeal I think is a great just gives it a great complexity, but still a lightness and all year drinker to me. But, and this is brilliant. Love it.
Spectacular. All right, guys. We'll be right back. You'll hear something. I'm not sure what's. We'll see if it's a musical choice, Dougie Fresh.
Maybe.
Or Tabor, who knows? All right, cheers. We'll be back.
Cheers.
If you're a craft beer guy who can't get it nearby, do yourself a favor and log into Tabor.
We are back at Kopacetic.
Here we are with the
Kopacetic
Manahan.
Beer Factory in Monticello.
The Dr. Hoppenstein.
The doctor is in.
Yes. What? I was. We left off. I think I was going to go with something on. You run a ragged freaking schedule. I mean,
it's
holy
brutal,
to say the least.
I think you've been awake from this show. You've been awake for at least 18 hours.
Oh,
like
man.
you said.
He's like, I wish it was only 18 hours.
I started yesterday. The problem is the wet hop, right? You have to use the wet hop really quickly. And being very community-based, and I like when my customers come in and they can literally help with the brew. A lot of times I have them, they can come check it out and learn whenever they want. And so I got hops from Howe Farms. He dropped 4 binds off, full binds rather than just the hops, and so everyone came in and picked them. So I did a brew. I started at 8:30 yesterday and did a regular brew. I did a English Pale Ale. And then I couldn't start the next brew until we had all the hops picked.
Okay.
And so I started that brew about close, which is about like 9:30. I started that brew. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong with that brew went wrong. And so I didn't leave here until 9:30 this morning. I got a nice hour-and-a-half power nap before I jumped in the shower and came back.
So you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm fresh. About 3 pots of coffee here, but it's not bad. Not bad. It's just, the festival. I'm ready for it to happen. I'm thinking I'm gonna have a good time, but I'm also ready to just get off the boat when it's all done.
Speaking of that, have we even mentioned it? This one's going to come out afterwards.
It's going to come out after, but we're here tonight, the night before the pre-party, and that's what brought us.
And you'll see pictures eventually, on this too. Once this comes out.
But it's a huge thing, first year, and we were stoked when he asked. Like, again, just we love doing it. We would want to get out here, and so this was just perfect to get out here and then get over to do a show here and do a pre-party and get with Sean at Kopacetic. But of course, we'll be on the Madam Carol tomorrow, and it's the
first annual Brews Cruise.
That's right.
Right on
the largest boat in Indiana.
How is, to be honest, the largest boat?
So I think it's one of those
classification things.
Yeah, it's like,
that's where I was like,
I think it's the largest boat that can navigate a body of water. So
or the
largest
boats, or the largest not privately owned boat.
Not sure.
Maybe, there's got to be some people who've got way too much money and have a very large boat.
That's very true. Yeah. And they probably just say they're in Michigan. They're not.
I have a yacht on Geist. I have a yacht on Geist Reservoir.
Yeah, and it just sits there.
I doubt it holds 500 people.
No, well,
500 people, and the guy. I'm not 100% sure on the story, but a couple of friends of mine bought the boat end of the year last year. And so it's been fun working with them and learning a little bit more about it. But I'm pretty sure the guy's name is Captain Bill Luce. The bridge right over here is named after him, and he's still kicking around and whatnot. But it's like he built this thing by hand. It's incredible. He bought these real old big diesel engines that I think they were using in some other big
Submarine.
equipment. And he got these generators that can power a whole hospital to run the power on it and stuff. But I wish, being from Monticello, I wish I could tell you exactly how long it's been around. Being that he built it, maybe in the 70s, I want to be like, it's been here since 42. But it's definitely been a staple of the community for a really long time. And so it's really cool being able to partner with them. So how we ended up with the Bruce Cruise, again, 2 younger guys bought this boat, and their big concept, again, same thing that I was kind of mentioning with Kopacetic coming back into your small town, is they've had these experiences. And Chris Peters, one of the owners, was out on the East Coast working in like amusement parks and developing new amusement parks. So he's got a real knack for entertainment. And I'm sure they had a website before.
Right.
But now they've got like a legit website. They can use credit cards on the boat. Before it used to be cash only. Sure. Which you always forget about until you're on a boat. You got $4 cash.
Yeah. Where's the ATM?
So now, he's done a really good job in integrating the community. The Sportsman, which is also a neighbor of ours, they do brunch cruises. They still are a great venue for bands and do late night cruises. But he wanted to expand on that, and so he said, "Let's do something with beer. You're right here. We're neighbors. Let's do something." And I just said, "Okay, yeah, I can do that." I sent 15 text messages out to my friends. I was like, "All right, I'm doing a beer fest, and I think you owe me at least one, you know." So,
by the way, it's on a boat.
Come in, it's on a boat on Labor Day.
And everybody's like, because that's actually it's quite unique. It's it's like some of the new brewfests that happen on like a frozen lake in the wintertime. They didn't do that before. And that's got to be a fun one to try once maybe. But yours sounds like much better to do many times. I'm not sure about the freezing my ass off on a lake.
I was there. I'll be at Madame Carroll every year.
Yeah, there's so many beer fests. I think all the brewers that are coming, we've been hitting hard for like a month, and I've got this one, and then I'm going up to Fort Wayne next weekend, and then for the most part, I'm in Columbus for the Corn Maze first part of October, and then I'll be in Knox for 1056s.
That's the bubble part.
But they're a little bit slower. It should be a little easier.
Yeah, that's the bubble part I think eventually kind of needs to burst.
Yeah.
I think there's a few too many of them because, no offense, you eventually get a lot of the same ones, and it's like, okay, well, they might have a different beer or a couple different, but it was literally just a month ago I just went to one of these. It's not as special, and some of them are special, and some of them are repeatable, and they're good, but there's a lot of little ones you're just kind of like, not another one.
Yeah, I'm standing in a parking lot.
Yeah, there's 4 of these. There's 4 of these this weekend alone within a 20-mile radius.
And Mark Lansbury with Indiana on Tap. I think last weekend I was on Beers Across the Wabash, so we're on a bridge, and I think he went to Double Tie Day.
Yeah.
Then he went to Beers Across the Wabash, and then he went to Bacon Fest.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I'm like, come on, I was like.
And one of the things for me about what I like with the festivals is to getting the unique beers, because I'm gonna be at the breweries, but so when I go to the festival, it's nice to have some unique beers. But when there's a festival every frickin' weekend, you can't make a unique beer every weekend for a festival. And I mean,
and it gets expensive.
So it's like, okay, so and so brought, you kind of know what you're gonna get at what time of the year. Sometimes when you go to enough festivals like we do, who's bringing what.
Yep.
So it's cool when they bring, but you can't expect people to bring specialty beers every frickin' weekend.
Time. Yeah.
You can't do it. You don't. So it's, I don't know. I think there's too many, but I say that because I can't go to every single one, but I'm sure, I don't know, Indianapolis, everyone's not going to a festival every weekend. There's enough people around to go, but it's hard for the brewers.
It's got to.
You
got to pace
keep
yourself.
going every. You can't do every freaking
anymore. I like doing the guild fests. I like doing Summerfest and Winterfest. Those are awesome. Winterfest is still one of my favorite fests. And outside of that, I don't do a lot of the, I don't say private fest, but I do the fests that brewers put on.
Yeah.
If I get a call from Joe Schmel, he's like, we're doing this and whatever for whatever reason. It's like, I'm not interested in that one. So I do the one 450 puts on.
Sure.
I'll do the Matt Anthony one. Lafayette Brewing Company, I'm always there doing their fest. And it's
the industry one.
the industry, because I'm really there. Yeah, I'm there to sell my beer and
hang
you
out
can
with
call it
your
a
friends.
trade show.
Yeah, and hang out with your friends.
But I'm there to see my friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's like I got a hold of my friends. I was like, come on, let's drink beer together.
And
I
like,
got to be like 300 other people there too, but like let's hang out.
But we're all going to be stuck on a boat.
Yeah, let's go boating. I keep telling people I moved up to Monticello. I was like, yeah, come up, we'll go on a boat, man. We'll go on a
This
boat.
will be we always talk about classification of this as a boat beer.
Yeah.
Technically
yeah.
tomorrow, every fucking beer is going to be a boat beer.
Yes. How many brewers we have on?
16.
16 brewers. Okay.
Everyone's
16 brewers,
bringing
so.
at least 3. And I think just with some of the people that are bringing a little bit more, I think we're going to have 50 beers.
All right.
50 boat beers.
50 boat beers.
Yeah, I'm
stoked.
I'm excited for it.
Oh fuck yeah.
I'll have some questions about, but I have a question I'm gonna ask, but I'll take that one off the air. All right, so we gotta get. Speaking of beers, we got 2 more beers to try, and then we'll get you out of here. But this one is classic.
This is Dr. Hoppenstein.
Right.
This is my friends started calling me that. I had a guy. I had just started brewing, and he was like, "Hey, you're gonna be in my fantasy football." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I hate fantasy football. I just stress out about it. I just like watching the Broncos win. I was like, all right, sign me up, whatever. And he put Dr. Hoppenstein as my name.
Did he?
And I was like, okay, yeah, I can roll with that. And that was 2010 too, right, when I started at People's. And so since I started brewing, as Kopacetic, same thing with like Wrangler-Weiss, I have tried to make an IPA that was exactly what I wanted to drink. My old man, he's really gotten into IPAs, and so he and I would brew an IPA, and I'd be like, "This is it. This is gonna be Dr. Hoppenstein." And then I drink it and be like, "It's close. It's not exactly what
It's
I
not
want."
there yet. Damn it.
And finally, after 20 iterations here, I finally was like, "Okay, I think this is where I want to be with my grain." It's got 25% rye, 25% wheat, and 50% barley. And it's hopped with Big Dank hops and El Dorado and Citra. And I feel like in my 10 years of brewing, when I first started, it was like I need to use 10 different malts and 50 different hops. And now it's kind of like old man in brewing, I guess. I'm gonna keep it simple. It's just 2 hops, real traditional hop schedule.
Of course.
And this is outside of Freeman Cream. I sell way more of because I sell it to somebody that just comes in, right?
Right, rock. Yeah.
But Dr. Hoppenstein, the 4 kegs, like I said, they'll be gone about 7 days. This is one of my favorite.
Keeps it fresh. Good God. Yeah. There's never really old beers around here at Kopacetic.
And back to like even how quickly I have to turn these beers over to keep the tap line going.
Sure.
This Hoppenstein, which has a pretty significant dry hop. Let's say it's Friday, so this is like 17 days old.
Good Lord.
Man.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you regret, or are you still okay with the size of your brew? You built the place out, but you didn't leave yourself a lot of room for equipment.
No. The brew house, I just got a 3-barrel liquor tank in from Blickman, and I had to we had to cut the door jamb off. Not only take the door off, we had to take the whole thing off to get the tank in. So that's about as big as I can go.
But
in
the current space.
It's having the 2 barrels. It gives me the license to do what I've wanted to do, just brew, for brewing's sake.
I get it.
I got tired of brewing for Kroger, or brewing for liquor stores to make sure that they always had the same beers.
Yep.
At Flat 12, we brewed half cycle every week.
Right, but you don't get a lot of time. Where's your free time come from, man? You got to stop and enjoy it too, though, right?
Well, I brew 3 or 4 times a week. I have 7 fermenters, and so in my rotation of turning them over, I'll brew 3 or 4 times a week.
So you're still getting some time off.
And they're quick. It's just kind of turned into a 9 to 5. I drop the kid off at daycare, come in, start brewing, and catch up with the family at 5:30 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it is a lot of work doing it by myself.
Yeah, it's gotta be hard.
Because the bar side, helping out in the kitchen side, and everything. Cleaning kegs while I'm brewing, while I'm carbonating.
that's the. You need an intern. You need somebody to.
I
clean the
need
kegs
an
and
intern.
stuff.
I got a young cousin, and you don't have to be 21 to brew. He's like a sophomore in high school. I'm always trying to get him in here. I'm just come learn to brew, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
Get them on the right path.
Yeah. Teach them young.
But talking about brewing, you need help, and the pigs are going to help you one of these days.
Yeah.
Okay,
We are going to get a pig beer on the.
I announced it on our last show we put out, or on our 199 show.
We are going to brew here with Sean, and we're going to put a pig beer. We want to do something. We always talk about doing something a little hot and spicy. That's.
I was thinking
love
two ways: either a little hot and spicy, or like a salty porky, like a Rauch beer,
a
or
bacon
something,
beer, or
exactly.
I liked the salty porky.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
but
porky.
But,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So
I could definitely do that.
That's what we want to do with you and in house. But so going that route, one of our favorite. I love just a hot. I don't know. There's something. I'm a spicy guy.
Sure.
So when I get a good spicy beer, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And what was
It's hard to find it. What?
No, the festival that he gave us the hawk.
Oh, this was at that was at Tippy's Halloween.
The
Tippy's Halloween one. He gave us a he gave us a very small bottle.
He
of
did.
It.
He goes, I think I may went a little overboard with the heat, and we were like, all right, me and Pat both looked at each other to try like, holy fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah, that was.
We're like, why is this bottle so small?
3 or 4 Reapers. I did. I took a keg too, but yeah, I don't think here it's those types of beers. I make a taco beer. You guys tried the sushi beer.
Yeah.
I like some of these fun savory beers.
Yep.
And normally I'll brew those in like a 10-gallon pilot batch just to see what's going to happen. And it takes up space on the tap board, so it looks like I have more beer than I do.
Right.
And very rarely, like of the hot, is anybody getting a pint. Right? It's on a flight board or it's in a half pint.
We would.
But I love peppers, and I've got a local guy. He's a regular customer. He's part of my mug club, and he grows these Carolina Reapers. And
well, I think
they're
people freak
friggin'
out.
hot, man.
They are hot. You got to handle them with care too.
Yeah.
But I think it freaks people out. But I don't think they understand. It makes a very awesome heat when you get it in the beer right. And sometimes, you may need to cut it is the problem. You may need to brew whatever your base is, and then have an extra batch to
blend it back a little
bit. Because Briar Scratch did that. He said he had to do that when the guys down in Briar Scratch. He did the Carolina Creeper. He called it the Creeper. But it was a light beer. Yours was a dark beer.
Sure.
Which was, I was like, is that going to work? Because Reaper's a little more of a kind of a fruity light.
It does have a really good flavor. I mean, that
flavor for
kills
beer,
you,
I
but it's
think.
hot.
But then you get that heat stays back on your lips after you drink it. It's like, oh,
but it just makes everything warm up if you cut it right. If there's obviously if there's too much, that heat hurts.
Yeah.
Carolina Reaper heat is awful when it's wrong.
And there's a lot to be. You can make. I really got to give credit to Josh Hambright and Rob Caputo. Making beers like this is something that I never would have considered. Learning from Chris Johnson, he's a very traditional brewer. He likes German lagers.
Yes.
So then to say, we're going to make. When I first started at Flat 12, we made. I started at first part of November. We made like 10 Thanksgiving beers.
Sure.
And it was like stuffing beer and mashed potato. So that opened up my mind to say, we can have we can make a sushi beer and use some crazy ingredients. But you're right. You do have to have a solid base, and deciding what beers are going to work with those random ingredients.
Right.
The Carolina Reaper, it does have to have a significant base. I tend to put a lot of flavors into dark beers, so we'll get into this one, because the dark beer it's like a better palate to hold these flavors.
Mm-hmm. Some of them,
a Carolina Reaper Pilsner. It can get out of control really quickly. And
Well, what I still don't know. I can never remember. I'll have to ask him. If I think it was an ale, or it might, but it was a light, crisp, clean, light beer was the one. It does work.
I believe it was an ale, and we were surprised because we're like, "Wow,
because we're like, oh, this is going to be awful."
But it worked.
But my experience, that was also the early days of my experience, and most of my experience was crap jalapeno beers. I despise jalapeno.
You get
beers.
that like Cave Creek
green
chili beer, and those were kitsch.
Yeah,
and I don't. I mean, some of the beers I do are kitschy and they're just for a little bit of fun. But in a clear bottle, warm on a Kroger shelf, that's not for me.
Yeah, and I've never liked really a jalapeno beer either, though, because the jalapeno comes across as green. Now,
Yeah.
take a poblano or a chipotle kind of, something that's been smoked or,
Smoked
has a
peppers
little
are
bit,
great.
that's an easier one to throw into some things, I think. But
Mhm.
jalapeno is always just so
It almost to me tastes like a
harsh.
beer that's been tapped too early. It just
Yeah.
it's green. I mean, that's what it tastes like too. For some reason, I'm not a big fan of the jalapeno beers.
And a lot of people they want it because it's hot,
Yeah.
and you can get some heat from a jalapeno, but a habanero has better flavor.
Right, yeah.
Carolina
I
Reaper
want
has a lot
I
of
want that
flavor.
flavor.
and the
Yeah.
heat, where the heat hits is important too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the thing about the Carolina Reaper, the heat hits differently, and it spreads rather than just I'm going to burn my mouth on the capsaicin right at the beginning. Yeah. All right. What are we? So speaking of our Carolina Reaper beer, what do we got?
Yeah, so this is
You brewed a new one. This is not hot.
This is not hot, but after hearing you guys talk about the hot when I dropped it off, and getting the messages back that I didn't give you enough, figured you definitely like this one. This is my kind of along core beers. This is my Mercules. It's kind of an annual imperial stout. The recipe kind of always changes. I think this one rang in about 10.5%.
Cheers.
Fucking cheers, man.
And now that
Wow.
I am on a bigger scale, the first year that I did Mercules, and I wanted to do a bottle release, and again, it's still a real brewery, but it's like a small model version, like a dollhouse of a brewery. So to get my local people to say, well, we have bottle releases, people would be like, oh man, you think about this bottle release over here and yada yada. I said, all right, I can do that. Get you wax dip, fancy bottles, and an annual release. So I brewed 3 or 4 batches on my 10-gallon, and to get the alcohol up there, I think I got maybe 6 out of each batch. So I think when we put them out in 12-ounce bottles, I think I had like 4 cases. Last year, I did it on the 1 barrel and was able to spread it out a little bit more. So I did 4 versions, kind of the whole Dark Lord thing as a model. Right. We did espresso, peanut butter. I did a strawberry raspberry version, and then the Reaper.
Awesome.
Oh
This
my
is
God, that's awesome.
And I don't know. I'll ask you about the beer in a minute. What do you got to get in here? But I actually get an earthiness to this that behind that heat in the dark beer. But there's still a earthiness to this beer.
It's an Imperial Rye milk stout that's like a 1.5 years old, hand bottled. So I don't know. I can't exactly.
There you go.
But there is. I mean, I like that. Can you say where the heat hits? In the back there.
Oh yeah.
It hits on the outside of the tongue. On the it just it doesn't even hit you in the center where a lot of the shitty pepper beers doesn't hit the center of the tongue at all. Mm-hmm. It hits all around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
And you think it's going to be awful. Burns a little bit going down, but not a burn like an alcohol burn. It's just I can taste some pepper there. That's
right.
It's like somebody put a lot of pepper on my eggs or so.
Yeah.
There's this right there, and then it just warms up. And the more you drink of this, the lips get a little warmer.
I'm getting a little sweat going.
Get a little, just get a little. It's awesome. Like Spanish Fly,
That's right? It's a good beer name. I should go with that beer name.
You're sleeping in the truck tonight.
But it's
you
it's
better have a
fun
lock on your
playing
door. Sorry, I cut you off there.
And we so for the release of this, I got in touch with a fortune cookie spot that's right across the street from Beer Brewery in Indy. And again.
I know them. Yeah.
And so awesome. I ordered fortune cookies, and I think a quarter of them said you're a winner. And so anybody that came in and bought a 12-ounce bottle of Mercules, for every bottle that they bought, they got a fortune cookie. So then they could open the fortune cookie and see, oh, you're a winner. You can pick a variant or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Another
nice.
fun thing.
I like it.
And I was surprised how many people I had a lot less of the Reaper. I think I had 22 bottles, but I'm surprised how many people picked the Reaper over everything else.
Really?
Probably just because fewer bottles,
different. Yeah, Carolina Reaper
something
beer.
to hang on to. And we put this out first week of December, I think, of 18. And when I poured it, I got a nice little head on there. I'm happy with how the heat has stayed in there. I wasn't sure if it would dissipate much, but it's still in there.
No, Reaper's got to be hard. That's probably. I bet you it's much more mellow than it probably was on first tasting. But
day 3.
Yeah,
it's a little more homogenized on it.
I'm a sucker when I see a spicy beer on a menu, I got to try it.
Have to.
I love heat and I love spicy food.
Unless it's a jalapeno, I won't. I gave up. I gave up on jalapenos.
I don't. I'm still gonna try it just for the heat, but I think it's hard to do to get the heat and to get the flavor. And man, you do it well.
That's beautiful.
This is awesome.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's hard. To me, as not an expert like you are, I think this would be hard to do it because I've had a lot of them, and most of them aren't very good. Yeah, it makes me hot and stuff, but you don't get everything. You don't get the plex. You don't get the flavor behind it. This is awesome.
Well, it's awesome. Having the experience that I've had in bigger scale brewing and being able to take those big batches and play with a lot of small, fun one-offs.
Yeah.
Definitely did a lot of that at Flat 12. I think everybody says this, and I don't know if everybody actually does this. They'll say it, but you do have to have a really good base. You have to have a solid base before you start adding anything into
else,
it.
right?
You know, if you have a shit beer, you put Carolina Reapers in there, you're going to have a hot shit
beer.
You know?
That beer's called the Hot Shitty Mess.
Yeah. But you just say, we only have 8 bottles of this, and people will buy it.
You know what I feel? You know what I feel like I want right now? Like, I feel like would go good follow-up beer on this would be a good old-fashioned pickle beer.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Remember?
I've had a lot of people
you remember that one?
asking me for
that was when we
squid
first
ink
met.
there.
That was when we first met.
Yeah.
Remember? Back in Flat 12, you pulled out a old cucumber, soured cucumber beer or whatever it was. It was pickle beer, and we were all just like, oh.
Yeah, I've had,
I feel like it'd be a good palate cleanser. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
After this,
Extra
cleanse,
heat.
do that one, and then go
Heat
back
and
to
then a
another
pickle.
one, back and forth. Yeah. Oh man.
And it's fun because here, if I get, a lot of my regulars here, like I said, they come in and they've brewed their own beer. My scale and my size, which it does suck sometimes that it's so small, but try to go to Sun King and brew a pig's beer.
Right. No.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
But you're in this to hang out with your friends and to have
Exactly.
fun and
That's.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely quick. We got the building October of 16 and opened February of 17, and a lot of it was planning on the fly. And I was like, all right, I think this will work. And for everything that now we've kind of grown into it and got some new equipment and got a little more settled. I wouldn't change it at all.
Awesome.
And you enjoy that part of it. Some people are in it for, hey, I'm gonna start a brewery and make some money, but you love that aspect of it. You love brewing. And you like talking about it, and you like getting other people involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been telling us anytime you want, come up and brew with me. I mean, you like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You love that part of it. I mean, it's not just, I'm not out here to try and make a buck. I love to brew beer. You love this.
And I like to help teach people new stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I've done a Kopacetic tap takeover where I've actually had all 20 taps be my own. It's very rarely. So even if I have extra kegs sitting in the back, it is important to me to have guest taps on.
Yeah.
I do love brewing. I love the industry. I love all the people in the industry. I like hanging out. I have met, 3 or 4 assholes in brewing, but everybody else is, once you can read them right, then
everybody's
you
got a
can
quirk.
really-
Everybody's got a quirk.
But brewing, and so it's nice to have kind of the open door policy. If I'm one of my union members, my mug club members, showed up yesterday at about 10:30 because he wanted to help pick hops before he went on his vacation.
Yeah, see, that's got to
he
be
just came in.
That's got to be kind of awesome because you're like, hey, I need some help, and people show up and they're like, just sitting there picking hops for you.
And I tell him, like, we were brewing and I needed him to do something. I mean, if you're back here, you're going to be helping me.
Yeah.
Hey, go grab that thing. Go get this, go get that, and it is fun because it's People's Brewing Company. Kind of a quick story on them. They called it People's Brewing Company because he said the people make our beer great, and Chris Johnson really did teach me a lot. And then he learned from Greg at Lafayette Brewing Company. He also learned with a guy named Doug Ellenberger, who moved out to Washington. And so Doug's opening up a brewery at the same time. Chris is opening up a brewery, and they didn't talk about the names. Well, Chris called his People's and Doug called his Everybody's for the same concept.
That's great.
And learning from Chris how to brew, but also how to be a brewer. That community involvement and this whole factory. I tell my union members there, put in some hours at the factory. Just if you got a day off, I'm brewing 3-4 days a week. Come in Tuesday,
in.
Wednesday, Thursday, and
Come in and help me out. I'll teach you something.
Yeah, and a lot of them are home brewers.
Yeah,
a
go.
lot of people I've known for 10 years that have kind of followed me
I'll
around.
go grab the Husenflagen and plug it into the Watzenhugen.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll teach you how to brew.
Get on it, damn it.
Well, that's definitely something that we carried with us since meeting you at Flat 12, and that was our first time getting on a show. And then, but just how
I believe that was my first show.
I think it was, wasn't it?
My first true pig show. as
There in the
being
back
the
with
pig.
Eric?
Yeah.
But ever since that we've always talked. You've always been one of our best friends in this business because we could tell how much you love this and how excited you were about it. And how you've always followed us, and we always talked about Sean just because we tag you all the time.
I see it all the time.
Not just your beer, we just love you and we love your beer. So we've always carried our experience with you, and we love being here with you. We love Kopacetic, man.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's a shining example of what the industry
What it should be. Yeah.
Thank you. And I like talking with Erica from 1056 when they first got up and running.
Yeah.
I bought some of their beers, and I always tell everybody when I hear brewery and planning. Now there's always brewing and planning, but if there's anything I can do to help you out, let me know. Like
I'm not saying I know all
need
the
to be
answers,
well.
and you're not even coming across with an attitude like, "Hey, I know how to do all this shit."
No, let's figure.
You're
let's
I
try
know
something.
I've done a few things, and you might run into a situation I ran into, but hey,
let's try it out together.
And I like doing collaborations because you get an opportunity to, hang out with your friends, but see how
some
they
different
do
ideas.
stuff.
And
brewing at Flat 12 and Peoples, being able to, and then so when I started Flat 12, I was just the brewer, and then I kind of went to director of operations position. But I was able to take something I learned from Peoples and something I've learned from Flat 12, and then doing these collaborations with other people and say, maybe this wasn't the best way, maybe this isn't, but for us, let's do if we mold it, we can find something that's going to be right in the middle.
Awesome.
And before we cut, I break. I just want to do, not just the incredible beer that's here. You're an Indiana man, and you also have some Indiana bourbon and whiskey on. It's not just beer. There's spirits here, and your
margaritas.
Margaritas on tap.
Margaritas on tap.
There's a live band outside right now, and is that a weekend, summertime? Do you bring them in the winter? Or?
We'll do live shows 2 or 3 times a month. This is Group Therapy. They're all local people, good friends of the brewery. They live around the Cajun guys. They're all real good friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it really is. I like throwing parties in my house, basically, and inviting friends
house.
over to come party.
And if you look around, this is like being at like a wedding reception or a family party because you have the family aspect on the one side, and it was packed with people eating and
scoreboard.
There's from every age group. There's out here.
Oh yeah, I was
old
looking.
young,
I was like, oh wow.
And then you have the bar side, which is packed, and there's
old
packed
and young
outside with music. So this is a really cool place, man. I mean, you got a lot going on. Again, it's not just beer. You got whiskey. You got live music.
We got 50 spirits, all Indiana.
All Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana. Yes, it's all Indiana spirits.
All Indiana spirits.
Awesome.
Who's the tequila for the for the margaritas?
Well, so the margarita is made in Indiana, but the ingredients are not.
But we'll get there. Yeah,
we'll get there.
Somebody's gonna make some
I think
Indiana
Sun
tequila.
King started making an agave spirit.
Really?
I don't know if they can call it tequila. It's one of those things.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah.
Why? If it's pure agave?
No, it's
because it's not brewed in like Guadalajara.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, look at the crap they call whiskey.
Well, I know, but
it's Scotch and it's stuff that shouldn't be called whiskey.
I have a single malt whiskey from 18th Street Distillery that I was sold to me as a Scotch, but when I saw the bottle, it just says single malt whiskey.
Yeah, they're getting a little loose with some of the terms now lately.
Yeah, they had been. I mean,
but yeah.
Flavored vodka.
Yeah, things that are liqueurs should not be called, certain things.
Yeah. Right. Anything but flavored liqueur.
But yeah. They got all of it. It's an Indiana-centric place here, and it's awesome, man. So, Sean, I want to thank you, man. Appreciate all the time on this show. We did a long show on this one.
Yeah,
it gets to talking. That's
it does.
Every podcast I do, it's always like, it doesn't feel that long. It's like, oh, wow, okay, shit, it's a 3-hour show. Oh, son of a bitch.
I can sit here with you all night. So
well, I mean, especially as busy you are, and, and because when they hear this, is the Brews Cruise will already be over, but you're still prepping for the Brews Cruise.
Yeah, I still got to fill my kegs and
all the
my
other,
equipment.
A bunch of the other people are already dropping their kegs off in your fridge, for tomorrow.
Yeah, so I can take it over there for them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they know how it works.
Maybe, 24 hours from now, it should be the tail end of the wedding that I have after the event. And then I think I'm just going to sleep for
days.
48 hours.
There you go.
Catch
Sure,
up on
yeah.
everything.
That'll work. Yep. So a tap goes empty. So one tap goes empty. And one tap goes dry.
Yeah,
Come on.
screw it. Whatever. That's why I need to hire more than just tiny little girls so they can lift a keg and move some stuff around. But no, thanks for coming up, guys. It's,
It
glad
was
we
a
finally
long
made this
time
happen.
coming. It was far too long.
We'll be
but,
back to brew for brew day.
Back to brew soon, and we'll record
Yeah.
that one, and we'll
Yeah.
figure out if we're going to do a smoky, salty type beer or a pepper beer, or maybe he'll do.
Well, the
maybe
beauty
he'll do
is like
both.
we can do. Yeah, I've got 1 barrel fermenters. I got 2 barrel fermenters. We can bust out a big batch of something
I like it.
kind of normal, and then we got the 10 gallon that we can always go
Something
real
crazy.
weird.
Have you ever done a Rauch beer? You know that
Yes.
style? Okay, you have.
Yes,
Okay,
and I've
so-
got Caleb at Sugar Creek. You know, on top of all the Indiana stuff, I get Indiana ingredients to the best of my ability. And Caleb at Sugar Creek has probably the most significant and expansive smoked malt program.
Oh, really?
So I think I have lavender smoke back there, but yeah, we can go real
salty,
smoky.
a little salty,
It's called
smoky.
Doob.
Yes.
You know, use some dank
Like a
hops and
little
then fucking smoky beer.
The Porky Doob.
The Porky Doob.
The
Porky Doob.
I think we found it.
There we
Found
go.
one beer to make.
Yep.
There we
Yep.
go.
The Porky Doob. So,
Fuck yeah.
all right. So Porky Rauch beer, smoky, salty, danky Rauch beer.
Yeah.
Is it right? It is Rauch beer, right? I always
Rauch beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I first learned it, I was like, "What's a Rauch beer?"
Yeah, a Rosh.
Rosh. That's what you're putting it. Rosh.
Yeah, the old Rauch beer.
All right, guys.
Who cares? Drink it.
It has been a great day.
Yes.
We're going to keep drinking into the night, and we're going to go drink on a boat.
Yes.
Drinking on a
Yes.
boat.
We're
Yeah,
priming for
well,
the
by
boat.
the time you hear this, we will have drank on a boat. Well, now, whether or not we stayed on the boat,
They got life preservers, man.
Yeah.
We're all
We're
good.
good.
Brendan
We're
gets
good.
Brendan gets it. You get the dinghy. We're gonna
Always.
tow you behind. All right,
Awesome.
Sean, appreciate it,
Thanks
man.
again, guys. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.